Welcome to the EA Hot Seat, 5 Questions With, the podcast where executive assistants take centre stage. I'm your host, Rita Gunning, the creator of Executive Assistant Oasis YouTube channel and the author of the Executive Assistant Toolbox. Each episode, I put someone in the hot seat with 5 fun questions. No stuffy job interview talk. This is the EA Hot Seat and it's time to turn up the heat. Hello, Candice. Welcome.
Hello, Rita. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And thank you for being the first guest on the EA Hot Seat
I
5 Questions With.
feel honoured.
Thank you. Candice, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I know you've done a lot, but give me a breakdown
Give,
as
give the high level version. Yes,
yeah.
so I am the co-founder of the Future Focus Admin community and podcast. I am the founder of Admin Avenues. I am an admin advocate. I am very active in this space in trying to change the narrative around the admin profession, around the pay gap, around the respect for this profession, and also the future skills for the profession. So if you haven't heard of me, look me up. I'm the only Candice Burningham in the world. You'll find me.
Yes, you will find her. She's very, she's on LinkedIn. She posts a lot of great content there. So look her up. And she is truly an advocate of the EAs. Okay, are you ready for the questions, Candice?
I am. Let's do this.
Okay, here they are. If you could change one thing about the executive assistant profession, what would it be and why?
I would change the perception because executive assistants are still seen as just support staff rather than strategic business partners. So I think that too often EAs are seen as reactive rather than proactive. And I think it limits the way that companies utilize their skills. And like, I feel like the reality is that great EAs drive efficiency and optimize operations, two double O's there. I know that they influence decision making, and I really feel like it's a shift in mindset from assistant to advisor, which is why I'm so keen on getting rid of the word assistant when it comes to senior roles. And I think if we could change that perception, it would elevate the profession and open up to more leadership opportunities for people in these roles. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that would be my big change.
And I think you hit something on the head. The word assistant isn't good in a job description or a job um, header because the mindset is there that you're just here to assist me, not be my strategic partner. Okay, number 2, what do you
Yep,
think makes an executive assistant relationship thrive and why?
a good one. I think it's trust and mutual respect. So, in my experience, where I have worked for presidents, CEOs, founders, it's all about trust and mutual respect. Um, when an executive truly values their EA as like a strategic partner, it fosters an environment where EAs can anticipate needs and solve problems before they arise, and push back when necessary. If they have that respect there, they respect you
Yep.
pushing back where it's appropriate. So um, it's not just about executing tasks anymore. It's about influencing outcomes as well. So I think a great EA knows how to manage up, and great executives welcome that kind of partnership. But I do understand that it takes an executive to be of that mindset, to look at you like an equal. So it's not always the way for so many people. But for me and my experience, I've been very blessed to have great executives that saw my value, and that trust and mutual respect was there.
Mm. Yeah, good answer there. What's the biggest lesson you've learned as an executive assistant, and why did that lesson mean something to you?
God. Uh, there's so many lessons I have learned, but I would say the proximity to power is not the same as having power.
Mm.
Um, as an EA, you're often in the room where big decisions are being made, but that doesn't automatically mean that you have a seat at the table. you have to earn that influence, and you have to do it by demonstrating your strategic thinking and adding value beyond your admin role. And I think making your insights count, learning that there's a massive distinction between um, shifting that mindset and to operate more like a business partner rather than just a facilitator is what will be the change in power mindset of people thinking, why is she in the room versus she needs to be in the room.
Mm.
I think that was a big lesson for me, is the more I showed my value, the more, like, I always tell this story. The first time I became an executive assistant, I just assumed that I was now an executive because it in my title. And so I would sit in every single meeting that my boss would be in. And at the time, it was not a done thing. And they would be looking at me going, why is she here? And he was like, well, she's here. So, and then I would be the one saying, oh, no, we can't do it that week. That's when full fields are on, or we can't do it that week. Jen's off having a baby. Like, I was the one with all the foresight of what was happening in the company and with people and travel. And they were like, wow, this is really helpful having her here. And so it
Yeah.
changed the whole perception of we should be having admins in our
Yeah.
meetings because they are more rounded in knowing what's going on in the company. So I think it's learning that proximity to power.
Yeah. And it also gives you more respect, especially around the leadership team, when you are included and your executive makes you feel and like sort of shows that she means something to me. So she is my go-to person. And I think
Yeah.
that's, you don't gain respect if your boss just thinks you're an assistant and, my
Yep.
door is always open, but wait a minute, then what am I here for? So
Okay.
number 4. If you had a magic wand that could fix one part of the executive assistant role, what would it be and why?
So obviously it would be the gender pay gap, and also just salaries for admins in general, because I feel like we've gone backwards, not forwards.
Yeah.
But as much as I am opposed to saying this, I do feel strongly about this, is standardizing a career progression for EAs. And why I'm against it is there is no one path, but I think that we should have like a guide kind of there, not like this global skills matrix, but more like, I feel like there's no clear pathway for growth beyond the senior executive assistant role. And people think that they've hit the ceiling. I know I did.
Yeah,
And I
I
was
did.
like, there's nowhere for me to move. There's nowhere for me to go.
Mm,
And I think if companies treated EAs as a role that has legitimate stepping stones and higher positions rather than static career choices. Like, this is where it's at. We might call you a project manager or something. It's like, no, where is the progression for me? Where is the
mm,
director of administration? You know, opportunities there. I think we'd see a lot more talented admin professionals staying and thriving
mm.
in the profession. But I think it's that feeling that they have to leave to grow because there's
Yes.
just nothing there from that level to go up. So I think we
Mm,
really need to find something to have a piece about what's next. And I
yeah,
think that's one of the things I'll be working on in 2025.
yeah. Because also in a company, when you start making things run smoothly, the challenge is no longer there.
Yeah,
And you get treated like, oh, what are you here for? Because
yep.
everything is running smoothly. You put
Smoothly.
processes in. Yeah.
Yep. Until you go
Okay.
on leave.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then it
until
all
you go
falls
on leave.
apart.
Yeah, exactly. So last question.
Go on,
Does
hit me.
does pineapple belong on a pizza and why? Please say what I believe.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
No, absolutely not. Pineapple has no business being on a pizza. It's a fruit. Keep it in a fruit salad where it belongs.
I
The
agree.
Italians that will be listening to this will be mortified that
Yeah,
people have pineapple on a pizza. So, no, absolutely not.
yeah,
And
yeah.
why? Because it's disgusting and you should be enjoying the authentic taste of pizza.
Yeah, I agree with you. And even if you take it out, you can still taste the juices
You
of
can
that
still taste
pineapple.
it. No,
Yeah,
no, just don't do it. Don't do it.
yeah.
Be a better person.
Thank you, Candice. I really appreciate your time, and thank you
Thank
for being the first
you.
guest.
Thank
All
you. And
right.
I love this concept. So keep it up.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the EA Hot Seat 5 Questions With. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share. Until next time, stay bold, stay brilliant, and keep the magic happening.